working harder than ever, but still feeling stuck, you might be in quadrant 4, the busy burnout. It's where high performers go when fear drives the hustle and clarity gets buried under chaos. In this video, we'll break down how to escape the hustle trap, rebuild strategic focus, and prioritize what actually moves the needle. Welcome to Growth Mindset Matrix, where entrepreneurs rewire their thinking, build momentum, and engineer exponential growth. Let's unlock your next breakthrough. Let's be real. Busy burnout has become a weird badge of honor. When someone asks how you are, the default response are almost always busy. We've started to equate all the activity with progress and a packed calendar with a meaningful life, but there's a dark side to this obsession with busyness. It's a sneaky little thing that I call the busy burnout. This isn't your classic one huge project drove me into the ground type of burnout. This is more insidious. It's a state where you're operating under relentless pressure, driven by constant nagging sense of urgency, but you have very little clarity or belief in what you're actually doing. It's all action, no momentum. You're spinning your wheels, working harder, but the car isn't moving forward. The World Health Organization officially recognizes burnout as an occupational phenomenon that comes from chronic workplace stress that hasn't been successfully managed. It is defined by three main things. First, feeling completely drained of energy or just exhausted. Second, the feeling of increased mental distance from your job, which usually shows up as a cynicism or negativity. And third, a feeling of reduced professional efficiency, where you start to feel like you're just not good at your job anymore. Does that sound familiar? Busy burnout has its own brand of symptoms. It's defined by constant firefighting, where you're so busy dealing with what feels urgent that you never get a second to focus on what's truly important. You're overcommitted, saying yes to everything because you're terrified of missing out, or even worse, being seen as someone who can't handle it. Because of this, you have zero time for deep concentration work. The very work that creates real value and actually moves your career forward. Maybe the biggest red flag of all, you feel a crushing sense of guilt whenever you try to rest. You don't see rest as essential. You see it as laziness. This is so dangerous because from the outside, it can look a lot like success. You're always on, always responsive, always doing, but under the surface, your energy is tanking. Your creativity is vanishing, and your original mission, the reason you even started doing this work, is buried under a mountain of pointless work. You're trapped in a loop of doing without thinking, which just leads to worse results and even more stress. You're not just tired, you're becoming ineffective. This trap is so draining and counterproductive. Why do so many of us fall right into it, especially high achievers? The very people you think would know better. The answer isn't just about your workload, it's about your mindset. Busy burnout is fueled by a nasty cocktail of deep-seated fears. First up, the big one, the fear of falling behind. We live in a hyper-competitive world. We see perfectly curated success of our peers on social media. We hear about what everyone else is doing, and we feel this massive pressure to keep up. We've started to believe that if we slow down for even a second, we'll be left in the dust. This fear is what drives us to take on way more than we can handle, just to keep up the illusion of progress. Second is the fear of being irrelevant. This is that nagging little voice that whispers if you step back, if you say no, if you aren't at every single meeting, that you'll be forgotten. Your value becomes tied to your visibility and how fast you can answer an email. So you say yes to things that have nothing to do with your goals, just to stay in the game. This fear keeps you in a state of constant low-grade anxiety, making it impossible to ever truly switch off. And third, we have the fear of letting go. This is the classic struggle for perfectionists. It's the belief that if you want it done right, you have to do it yourself. The very thought of delegating a task conjures up nightmares of someone else messing it up, forcing you to waste time redoing it later. So you hoard tasks, telling yourself you're maintaining quality control when what you're really doing is becoming the bottleneck to your own success. This is often tied to an imposter syndrome, that feeling that you're not really qualified and have to overcompensate by controlling every teeny detail just to prove that you deserve to be here. And finally, a lot of us have a distorted view of happiness, where we have been taught to believe that success and happiness will magically appear after the next big professional achievement. We chase the next big promotion, the next big milestone, the next big contract, thinking that we'll finally be able to rest and feel fulfilled. But the goalpost always moves. This wild goose chase for happiness through endless work guarantees that we never actually get there. These four fears mix together to create a powerful psychological pull towards overworking. Your busyness becomes a shield, a way to avoid asking deeper questions about what you're doing and why. Being busy feels productive even when it's not. It's a social acceptable form of avoidance. But to escape the trap, you have to first admit that your busyness isn't a sign of your importance, it's a symptom of your fears. Breaking free from your busy burnout takes more than a few time management hacks. It requires a fundamental mindset shift. You have to change how you think about your work, value, and even your rest. It's all about moving from fear-based action to purpose-driven focus. Here's the core framework. Right now, your brain probably defaults to, if I don't do it all, it won't get done and everything will fall apart. Now, I want you to swap that out for a new mantra. If I don't prioritize what truly matters, nothing meaningful will ever get done. This simple shift changes your role from a firefighter, constantly reacting to the next blaze, to an architect, deliberately designing your day, week, and career. It's a profound change in identity, from someone who does everything to someone who ensures that the right things get done. To make this happen, you have to embrace a few key ideas. First, your job is not to do everything. This is especially true for leaders, but it applies to everyone. Your value doesn't come from the number of tasks that you finish. It comes from your unique contribution, the things that only you can do. Your real job is to figure out what those high impact activities are and then ruthlessly protect the time and energy to crush them. Everything else is just a distraction. Second, rest is not laziness. It is a critical component of productivity. We see rest as a reward to get only after the work is done. But here's the secret: the work is never done. Top performers, athletes, artists, and executives all understand that growth doesn't happen during the performance. It happens during the recovery. Rest is when your brain connects ideas, solves tough problems, and recharges the cognitive juice that you need for deep work. Taking a break isn't stepping away from your work, it's a vital part of doing your work. Third, clarity is more important than speed. It doesn't matter how fast you're running if you're going in the wrong direction. The busy burnout trap keeps you moving so fast that you never have time to pull out a map. This mindset shift is about giving yourself permission to slow down, to think, to plan, and to ask the most important question of all. Am I doing the most important thing I could be doing right now? When you focus on clarity first, your actions become deliberate, powerful, and creating real momentum instead of just frantic motion. Embracing this new mindset is the foundation for the practical tool that we're about to cover. It gives you the psychological permission you need to actually use it. You're not just clearing a to-do list, you're making a strategic shift to lead a more focused and impactful life. So you get the problem and you're ready for the mindset shift. Now for the practical tool that changes everything. It's called the 3D filter. This is a simple, powerful framework for deciding what to do with every task and meeting an idea that comes your way. The 3 Ds are delete, delegate, and do. It sounds simple, and it is. The magic is in its disciplined application. You're going to run every single item on your overwhelming to-do list through this 3-part filter. So let's break it down. You're starting with the most powerful and, for the most high achievers, the most difficult D, called delete. This is prioritization in its purest form. Deleting is about being strategic. It's the conscious choice to say no to things that don't move you closer to your most important goals. Remember, every yes is a hitting no to something else. The delete filter forces you to make those trade-offs on purpose. So, what can you delete? Start with your meetings. Look at your calendar right now. How many of those reoccurring meetings are actually productive? How many could have just been an email? How many do you attend just in case with no clear reason to be there? If a meeting doesn't have a clear agenda, a defined outcome, and you aren't essential, ask to be excused. Next, look at reports and amend tasks. Are you creating or reviewing things that nobody actually reads or acts on? Legacy processes and redundant paperwork are begging to be deleted. Challenge them. Ask, what would happen if we just stopped doing this? Often the answer is a beautiful resounding nothing. Then there are the digital vampires. Unsubscribe from all those email newsletters that you never read. Turn off non-essential notifications on your phone and computer. Every ping and buzz is an invitation for your brain to switch contexts, completely destroying your focus. Deleting these interruptions is one of the biggest and fastest productivity gains that you can make. And finally, you can delete reactive habits. This means no more checking email every 5 minutes, no more compulsive social media scrolling, no more instantly jumping onto every urgent request from a coworker. These aren't productive activities. These are nervous habits that give you the false feeling of being busy. Try batching your email checks to 3 specific times a day. Schedule your focus time and treat it like the unbreakable appointment that it is. Deleting is liberating. It creates space. It clears the clutter so that you can finally see what is actually important. Once you've deleted everything that doesn't need to be done, you're left with tasks that actually are necessary. But that doesn't mean that you have to do them. This brings us to our second filter, delegate. For many perfectionists, this is the scariest D. That fear of no one can do this as well as I can, or it's just faster to do it myself, is a powerful trap that keeps you buried in work. That isn't the best way to use your unique talents. But effective delegation isn't just offloading work. It's about empowerment, trust, and scale. It's how you multiply your impact. Here's the golden rule of delegation. If someone else can do a task 80% as well as you can, you should delegate it. That last 20% is the perfectionist trap. And the time and mental energy you save by letting go is more valuable. You have to get comfortable with work being done differently than how you would do it. The outcome is what matters, not the exact method. So you should delegate. So what should you delegate? Well, start with tasks that are outside your zone of genius. These are the things you can do, but don't use your best and highest skills. The skill could be admin work or scheduling, data entry, initial research, or creating your first draft of a report. Delegate tasks that are repeatable. If it's a process you can document and teach, it's a perfect candidate for delegation. Create a simple how-to guide, or a short screen recording might take an hour up front, but it will save you hundreds of hours in the long run. So delegate it to develop your team. Giving a team member a new responsibility isn't just taking something off your plate. It's a chance for them to grow, learn new skills, and become more valuable. When you hoard tasks, you're not limiting your own potential, you're stunning theirs too. Of course, effective delegation does require clear communication. When you hand something off, be crystal clear about the desired outcome, the deadline, and any important rules of the road. Then, and this is the hard part, trust them to get it out of the way. Check in, but resist the urge to micromanage. Delegating frees you from the weeds, allowing you to focus on the big picture, strategic work that only you can do. It's how you go from being a doer to being a leader. Now, after you have mercilessly deleted the non-essential tasks and strategically delegated everything that you can, you're left with a short, powerful list, and this is your final D, the do. These are your zone of genius tasks. These are the activities that you are uniquely amazing at, that provide the most value and that drive your most important projects forward. This is your mission critical work. For a CEO, this is securing funding and setting the vision, not approving expense reports. Your main job now is to fiercely protect the time and mental energy to do these do tasks at the highest possible level. This is where the idea of deep work comes in. This kind of work needs substantial, unbroken concentration. You can't do it all in 5-minute slivers between meetings and notifications. That's why I recommend the 3-task max rule. Each day identify no more than 3 do tasks that represent your most important work. These are your priorities. Everything else is secondary. If you only get these 3 things done, you can call the day a massive success. This forces you to be realistic and focused. Block out time on your calendar for this work. Treat it like your most important meeting of the day, because it is. Defend that time. Let your team know that you're in a focused block and cannot be disturbed. Give it everything that you've got. No multitasking. Close your emails, put your phone on silent or in another room. The quality of your work is a direct result of the intensity of your focus. By running your life through the 3D framework, you're no longer a victim of your to-do list. You're a strategic commander of your time and your attention. If this framework is already sparking some ideas for things that you could get off your plate, do me a quick favor and hit that like button. It tells the algorithm that this is good stuff and it helps more people escape the busy burnout trap. And don't go anywhere, because next I'm going to show you exactly how to put this into practice today. Knowing the framework is one thing. Actually using it is another. So let's make this real. I'm challenging you to 1 week busy burnout audit. This little exercise will give you a crystal clear picture of where your time is really going and help you to start applying the 3D filter immediately. So here's the plan. For the next 7 days, you're going to track your tasks. Use a notebook, a spreadsheet, or whatever works. At the end of each day, take 15 minutes and list every significant thing that you spent time on. And be honest. Don't just list the big projects. Include the meetings that you sat in and the pointless email chains you were a part of and the reports that you built and even the interruptions you dealt with. At the end of the week, sit down with your log and apply the 3D filter to every single item. For each one, ask yourself the tough questions. Look at an item and ask, did this really need to be done at all? Did it actually help us reach a key goal? What would have happened if I had just ignored this? Be ruthless. You'll find meetings, reports, and habits that added 0 value. Highlight those in red. They're your first targets for elimination. Next, review the list with the Delegate lens. For each task you did, ask, was I honestly the only person who could have done this? Is there someone on my team or even a freelancer who could have handled this 80% as well? Look for tasks that are routine, administrative, or outside your key strengths. Maybe it was formatting a slide deck, or scheduling a dozen meetings, or pulling initial data. Highlight these in yellow. These are your opportunities to empower others and win back your own time. And finally, look at what's left. These are your do tasks. These survive the first two filters. Ask yourself, did these tasks get the best of my energy and focus, or were they squeezed between a dozen less important things? Highlight these in green. This short, powerful list is your zone of genius. This audit will be a wake-up call. You'll probably find that a huge chunk of your time was spent on red and yellow activities, while your critical green tasks are starved for attention. The final step is to plan the week ahead based on what you found. Start by actively deleting the red items. Seriously, go into your calendar and cancel them. Then make a concrete plan to delegate your yellow items. Figure out who gets them and how you'll hand them off. And finally, take your green items, your true priorities, and block out significant uninterrupted time in your calendar to give them the focus that they deserve. This audit isn't a one and done fix. It's a habit. By regularly filtering your tasks, you shift from being reactive and overwhelmed to proactively leading. We've covered a lot. So let's tie it all together. That feeling of being constantly busy but never productive, of working around the clock but feeling guilty when you rest, that is the busy burnout trap. It's a vicious cycle fueled by fear and a totally warped idea of what success really looks like. But you can absolutely escape. It starts with a mindset shift. Moving from the belief that your value is in doing everything to knowing value is in doing the right things. It means embracing rest as a weapon for productivity and seeking clarity before you demand speed. The practical key to unlocking all of this is the 3D filter: delete, delegate, and do. Delete what doesn't matter to create space. You delegate what others can do to multiply your impact. And you do what only you can do to make your unique mark on the world. This isn't just another productivity hack. It's a framework for taking back your time, your energy, and your life. It's the difference between a career of frantic motion and one of intentional progress. Your breakthrough won't come from working harder. It will come from focusing better. So stop reacting and start leading. Thanks for watching. If this hit home, you're not alone. Busy burnout is common, but it's not permanent. Download the free worksheet below, watch the next video, The Scientist Quadrant, and subscribe for weekly mindset updates. And now, for my question of the day. What is one thing that you're going to delete from your life this week? Drop it in the comments below. I love reading your answers. Now, go take back your calendar.